What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we are going to be diving into this Atlanta Falcons offense. How can the Lions slow down this Falcons offense that just dropped 40? Let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we have a tall task in front of us with this Atlanta Falcons team. The 1-5 Atlanta Falcons, who are probably a little bit better than that record shows. They probably should have at least another win than what their record shows. We're going to be diving into starting in today's video. Tomorrow, we'll dive into the other side of things where we talk about the Lions offense against this Falcons defense. But in today's video, it's specifically, how did the Lions slow down this Falcons offense that looks pretty darn good? I mean, they look pretty darn good, at least statistically. Now, we're going to dive into the stats and numbers first. Then we'll dive into the film, things I see, where the Lions need to do well, how the Lions can slow them down, and how other teams stop this offense, okay? So that's what we're going to dive into. But at first, I want to go through the numbers, the stats, the things that you see on the surface, and try to make more sense of them than, you know, just basically looking at the numbers and saying, okay, here's what's going to happen in the game, all right? So we'll dive into that first. Now, before we get any of that started, I do want to ask a question. Let me know in the comment section below. Can you guys even tell that there's Christmas lights back here? I put blue lights back here trying to make it pop a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if it's doing its job. We might need to get some LED lights. Maybe I'll put them in the front. I was just trying to make the stuff like pop, you know, kind of like a, what, aura? Like aura? No? I don't even know if that's the right word. Let's make it simple. The Falcons like to throw the football. With Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Kearse, you know, Todd Gurley, they like to throw the ball. It's just something that they do. They do it a lot. They're right now currently third in the NFL in passing attempts. Keep in mind, they have played every game. They didn't have a bye week yet, but they're third in the NFL in passing attempts, and they're second in the NFL in passing yards behind only the Dallas Cowboys. So, as you can tell, they like to throw the ball, and they rack up a lot of yards. But their efficiency throwing hasn't been as great. Hasn't been awful. I would say it's been about average, but their efficiency hasn't been as great. 21st in completion percentage. Currently, they're 17th in yards per attempt, and they're 12th in passer rating. So, their efficiency is a little bit lower, but they still rack up a lot of passing yards. The Atlanta Falcons, when it comes to rushing the football, they're also not very good. They're a little bit below average, I would say, in rushing the football either way. But so far this season, they've kind of been like a little bit of a roller coaster, which obviously does make an average, but it's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride. Recently, I would say the rushing's been a little bit better, but on a season, they're averaging 4 yards per carry, which is 22nd in the NFL. So that's below average. That's not very good. The Lions are averaging 4.3 yards per carry on the ground, but, you know, it's just a couple of points. So every game, it can kind of differ. And like I said, it's kind of a roller coaster ride. If you look at them by game for the season, their first game, their top rusher at 4 yards per carry, and their second game, 2.9 yards per carry at 4 yards per carry, and their third game against the Bears, 5.7, 6.4. Their fourth game against the Packers, 3.6, 2.5, so that went down, and it was up against the Bears. And then against the Panthers, 8.6 yards per carry, 6.5. They're running all over the field. So I would say recently it's started to pick up a little bit, but on an average for the season, it's not the best. However, you know, that can fluctuate from game to game. And before last game, the Lions had the worst rush defense in the league. So the Lions are going to have to show us what they showed us more of last week. Otherwise, this probably could get a little out of hand with their rushing attack, because Todd Gurley, Ryan Hill, those are not bad running backs, right? And even Ito Smith, they can run the football a little bit. So the Lions do need to show us that, hey, look, we can stop the run like a little bit like we did last week. It doesn't have to be as good, but it has to be, you know, closer to that than what we've seen for the majority of the season, which is 170 yards per game, because that, my friend, that will be a problem. But the good thing is they like to pass the football. Lions pass defense has been awful so far this year. But I know what people are saying, and I've seen a lot of Falcons fans, and they're saying this, and looking at their stats, and they're saying, look, we're scoring 27 points per game. We're going to drop 27 to 30 points. We're probably going to score 30 on the Lions. And while, yes, that could happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. I hope it doesn't, but it could. I also want to point out that those numbers may be a little bit skewed. Now, keep in mind, they've only played 6 games. But I do want to break down the scoring for the Falcons. And this to show you that, hey, look, it's not a guarantee they're going to come in and score 30 points on us. Now, our offense needs to help out because they have not a very good defense, which we'll get in again tomorrow. But there is some reason for optimism that, hey, the Lions can slow down this offense. If you go game by game, first week against Seattle, they scored 25. Seattle this year is giving up 27 points per game. But in that game, up until 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, the Atlanta Falcons only had 12 points, all right? It was 31-12. So you can make a case a lot of those last touchdowns were garbage time, the last couple touchdowns. Against the Cowboys, yes, they dropped 39. They lost because, yeah, that was whatever. But they scored 39. That's good. I mean, that's doing your job. But keep in mind, the Dallas Cowboys have historically one of the worst defenses of all time right now. I mean, this goes back to the 60s. They're giving up 36 points a game. So, to score 39 against Cowboys is good, but it's not like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Against the Bears, they scored 26, definitely impressive. The Bears are only giving up 19 a game. We could have scored 30 in that game, though, so, I kind of see it. The Packers, they only scored 16 against the Packers, who are giving up 27 a game. A lot of that has to do with the Tampa Bay one. Against the Panthers, they only scored 16 in that game. The Panthers are giving up 23.5 per game. And against the Vikings last week, look, the Vikings went out and they scored 40 on the Vikings. But the Vikings defense isn't good either. I mean, they're the second worst in the league in terms of points per game, allowing 32. But it just hasn't been good all year. I mean, they're not slowing anybody down. The Vikings defense has been really bad. They have a young secondary, and they have a lot of missing pieces in that front seven. So they're just not a very good defense right now. So, yes, I know the 27 points per game may stick out. It's like, oh, snap, this is going to be really tough. But keep in mind, it's possible. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm just saying it's not a guarantee they're going to walk in and score 27 plus in this game because they've only done it twice, and that was against the two worst defenses in the league. And Matt Ryan so far, even though his stats look pretty darn good, and he was really good against Atlanta. I mean, he was incredible. I think he was the PFF all-team quarterback. He was really good. There's no doubt about it. However, when you look at Matt Ryan, you take away those two games that he's played against Dallas and Minnesota, two of the worst defenses in the league, his stats look like this. Okay, over 4 games, his stats look like this. Now, again, you obviously have to keep in mind the 2 easy teams he played to make the average. But I'm just saying, if you look at the other 4 teams that he's played against, his stats would be this. 3 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, ratings of 98.5, 67.7, 91.4, 63.6 against Seattle, Chicago, Green Bay, Carolina. Those are good defense. But my point here is that, okay, look, there is a way to slow down this team, and if the Lions can kind of be in between, they don't have to be a top defense, but if they're not one of the worst defenses, they can slow down this Falcons offense. So that's maybe just a little bit of a reason for optimism heading into this game. Let's dive into the film side of things, and we'll dive into more numbers as we get there. I just want to touch on the surface first, so let's get into it. Here are the keys. Here's how you stop this offense. Number 1, play aggressive. Make an effort to stop the run early. Just the same thing we saw against Jacksonville. Do that. Be aggressive. Be willing to bring pressure to shut down the run. Get the run game gone early. Like, take that away. Make them more one-dimensional. Make them as one-dimensional as possible, okay? Use speed to your advantage on the stretch run plays, but put Pennicini and Danny Shelton together on that defensive line, and that will definitely help on those inside runs. If you get them in 3rd and long, you're going to have linebackers against linemen. Obviously, that's always an advantage when it comes to pass rush. And over the middle, take those routes away, man. Linebackers drop into coverage. Make sure you have your eye on all crossing routes. You don't have to be as worried about the spy as much as Matt Ryan taking off as you did against some other quarterbacks. That means you have a great opportunity to just watch the receivers play really good coverage over the middle. So those are the keys to beating this team. Stop the run early, make an effort, then take away the over the middle routes, and then all of a sudden you're going to have mismatches with rushes. Keep things mixed up, zone man, keep it mixed, keep Matt Ryan confused. But this is a team that can be slowed down. You can slow down this offense. Teams have done it. And if the Detroit Lions can jump up early, which we'll talk about the offense tomorrow, and you can make them even more one-dimensional where they're going to throw it, all of a sudden you're going to get a lot of pressure on Matt Ryan as the offensive line is probably average to below average. So there you go. Player to watch, J-Ron Kearse. He breaks out in this game. Also, your linebackers, they have been really good. So here we are. We're over to the film side of things, and there's a lot of things that I want to show you. But when I look at film of other teams, I always like to look at things that repeat. What does teams do consistently, especially on the offense side of the ball? It's not game plan specific, but it's something that they do against every game, right? Something in their playbook that they like to go to, that they like to do against all defenses. So it's not just, because we played the Vikings, we tried this. It's that I see against multiple teams. That's what we're going to be taking a look at here, okay? Those are some things that I like to specifically look at. The reason I like to do that is because, I can't take a look at every single play and, know exactly what every single play is going to be. But I can look at the plays that they continue to run, right? The things that they continue to bring up, because if you can't stop those, you're going to have a problem with that offense. So the first thing that we're going to be looking here is a toss play, okay? They like to do a lot of things to the outside. Now, you're going to see a lot of motions with the receivers and tight ends. That's something that I've noticed a ton. A lot of teams are doing motions now. Some teams don't, but usually those offenses aren't very good. But what you see with them is they like to do a lot of things to the outside. Get the running backs to the outside. They want Todd Gurley outside. They want to get Brian Hill outside. So you're going to see tosses, stretches, things like that. They're also going to mix in some inside runs, which we'll take a look at. But the first thing I want to look at is a toss play. Now, this first one we're going to see is successful, okay? This toss play, the first one that we look at here, goes well. So they're going to get this toss to the outside. Now, they're doing it out of the gun, which is interesting. But they're going to do this toss to the outside. But I want to show you how they set this one up, because there's different ways that they do this. So these two players are important. You're going to get your receiver, and you're going to get your right tackle here. it's interesting how they do this. So they're actually going to have their receiver kind of block here, kind of trying to let these guys get inside and try to pick them up. But their tackle is then going to come out and be the lead blocker. So it's an interesting way to do things, and this time it is successful. I want to show you the first time where it actually works, and then I'll show you how teams were stopping them, right? How teams had success slowing down this toss play. So let's take a look at this first one here. When you're on a toss play, you have to be able to contain. You have to be able to contain. So this secondary player coming down, getting in this mix, takes him out of the play. All of a sudden, there's just tons of grass. You know, he's got tons of room to work with whatever. And it's a big play. I believe this is Brian Hill. He ends up actually fumbling, which obviously if we can do that part, that'll be great. I mean, you can't really count for that. The play worked. It's just he fumbled. So hopefully they fumble against us a little bit. That'd be great. Now, let's continue with the toss plays. And this is the first toss play. You know, we're going to look at a few here that are actually successful, that the defense does a good job at stopping, because I want to show you the ways that the Lions are going to have to attack this. The first one is a really good play by the secondary player. And let's move this down just a little bit more. Cameron Dantzler, you guys know I liked him during draft time. Cameron Dantzler. Now, Dantzler makes a heck of a play here. One thing the Lions have done, we've talked about it, is they bring in secondary guys that are going to tackle. They're not afraid to tackle. Okay, if you're afraid to tackle, you're not going to be drafted. Okudah, Amani, you know, Kearse, safeties, everybody's not afraid to tackle, especially last week. I mean, these guys were just aggressive, hitting hard, and we're going to have to see that again against the Atlanta Falcons. But you need to make sure you're disciplined for cutbacks and tosses, things like that, and containing. We'll get to that. But this is where aggressiveness needs to shine. Playing fast. We saw Lions play fast last week. So you're going to get, you know, your tight end out here is supposed to be the lead blocker, and Dantzler's just going to completely make him miss. Now, this is something I've noticed with Atlanta, is their tight ends and fullbacks seem to really struggle blocking on the outside, like really struggle. And you can make those guys miss a lot of times. It's a tough task to block on the outside like that, right? Because it's just you against him, and there's a ton of field that the defender can go. So right here, you're going to see Cameron Dantzler right here. Bop, get right through the block. And he's just out there. Now he just has to make the tackle. And cornerback against running back, you're usually saying your running back has the advantage. But if Dantzler can make that tackle, Okudah can make that tackle. Amani can make that tackle. We've seen our cornerback tackles. I believe Okudah's a way better tackler than Dantzler was coming out of the draft. And that's where, you know, they have to step up and make some plays. This isn't a toss. This is actually a jet sweep. But you have your fullback and tight end here. Again, they struggle to block on the outside. And you're going to get these Packers linebackers who just shed the blocks, make them miss, get into the backfield, and they make the play. And they close it down. I mean, this play goes for basically nothing because they're just there to shut the run play down. Linebacker gets fullback. Who's this dude blocking? Who is this dude blocking right here? That's what's crazy, right? Look at that. It just goes right by him. Boop. And he's in the backfield, and he explodes the play. Now, he doesn't bring him down, which obviously you wanted to bring him down, but he's there. Now, again, the Packers do a really good job here because as they pull everyone to one side to block, the Packers do a really good job of filling the lanes, but it's really this. This guy disrupting this forces it so that he can't continue to get to the outside. If this block is picked up, he may have an opportunity to get out here. But since he gets by the fullback and makes him miss, this players, they have to make plays. And you also have good backside contain here, which is ultimately where it's going to come back for now. That's how this play is kind of shut down. So again, doesn't make the tackle, but he's there. Now the contain doesn't do so well because he kind of closes in on it, but he's able to get back, set it up. They don't gain any yards on that play. So it's really about just making those players, tight ends, fullbacks on the outside miss, and teams have done it against them time and time again. This is Harrison Smith, one of the best safeties in the league. There's multiple occasions where I'm watching this game and I'm saying, dang, Harrison Smith has great recognition. So we didn't actually get the pre-snap here, which kind of stinks. Following the receiver back in the play. This might be man-to-man defense. That might be what this is. But he follows him back there, and there's no chance for them to do, you know, the little toss, the little end around in the backfield. So it's just a great job taking that away. That's just another example. And I just kind of wanted to showcase there how many things they like to try to get to the outside. How many times they try to get people going to the outside. And that's just something that the Lions are going to have to be focused on and prepared for heading into this game. Here we're going to get another toss play. And look how much it's just blown up. They blow up this play. Now, how did they blow up this play, right? That's a good question. We're going to see across the board, players are just winning their battles. And I feel like their offensive line really struggles against linebackers, and we're going to see multiple occasions of that. But their offensive line can't seem to keep up with linebackers. Here's one example right here. This offensive lineman has no athleticism compared to this linebacker, right? He's just going to get beat. He gets beat to the point of attack, and all of a sudden he's in the backfield to make a play, and then everybody else is just getting off their blocks, and that play just closed up quickly. Great job by Cameron Dantzler here to hold the edge. This is something that I say earlier with Okudah this season. He kind of struggled with. He wouldn't get to the edge, and they would get bounce things, but he sets the edge. He's on the outside. He has the outside leverage. You know, player gets right by the lineman. He uses that athletic ability to beat the lineman. That's your advantage. When you're on the outside, if you get picked up by a lineman, you're probably out of the play because you're too small. Good thing is linebackers are kind of big. But your advantage is the speed. So if you can make them miss, all of a sudden you can make a big play in the backfield, and these plays can go horribly wrong very quick. But I want to showcase that, look, they're going to do this, and they're going to do it a lot. So Lions need to be prepared to take that away. Next up is the plays that, we love so much. But the Lions did much better against against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and those are the stretch run plays, right? The stretch run plays. So boom, you're going to hit him with the stretch here, boom. Now, you can already see the problem. I mean, I think all of us can kind of see why this is going to be an issue right here, because boom, look at this. All right, it's all about the backside contain for that cutback, right? We've seen enough of this to know where the problem is. They're not doing a bad job of filling their gaps. I mean, there's not a lot of room here. Someone just has to get off their block. Someone just has to shed if he tries to go upfield. But here's the big problem right here. There's no contain. So all he has to do is cut back, and he's going to have tons of room because there's no contain here if this tight end can hold the block. And that's the problem with this play. That's what goes wrong here. Boom, he's forced back inside. That's exactly what tight end wants to do. Now, the safety, he does a pretty good job of getting back into the play and kind of shutting it down. You'll see that later as well. That's important. Those guys have to be up and they have to make plays. It's harder for them because they can't see it, right? They have to be prepared for the play action. So it's important for that edge contain to be there. It's all about the backside. We talked about it so much last week, and the Lions went out and they executed. That's what it's going to be about once again in this game, because teams love to do this. They love to let their running back see the hole, pick the hole, and make the decision, right? Especially when you have Todd Gurley, who's supposed to be a really good running back. That's what they want to do. So for the Lions here, they have to have that backside contained because it's those cutback lanes that are killers. They're absolute killers. And if the Lions can continue to shed blocks on the inside like they did last week, we're going to have some success. Okay, now you're going to see another stretch run. This time it actually works well, but it could have went bad. Let me just say that. It could have went bad here. Okay, so again, 95. He's forced back inside. He's actually going to get inside enough to get a hand on him, which is great, because if he doesn't get this hand on him and he's able to cut back, there's a lot of room to run. The safety does a good job of getting down 41, and it's probably a reason that he saw that defender and he's like, okay, I'm going to cut back inside. It's not there. So it's a really good job there for the safety to see that, to see, the running back has the football. Once he realizes that, get down quickly, get downfield, boom, get right there, boom. So when he sees that, he has to cut back inside. But if he doesn't get his hand on him, that's a concern. So again, it's just all about contain. It's all about that backside contain in these plays, because I see so many cutbacks that just break for big yards. Again, they're doing a good job of filling their lanes. It's just about the backside here. This time, once again, the tight ends, we just talked about it on the tosses. They just can't, they can't handle the defensive ends. I don't think they held blocks that well, at least on the outside. Look at this. You got a tight end on a defensive end here, and he just runs right past him. Gets the hit in the backfield. All of a sudden, that play is dead. That play is dead. The Lions have a huge opportunity to win a lot of these by just getting off of blocks. Now we're going to see them use the stretch to set up a stretch play action. Okay, so you have the same offensive line movement, and now they set up the play action with it. But look what we're seeing again here. The tight ends. All right, you're going to have a tight end because of the stretch. Because of how this play works, and because they're blocking an area, you have the offensive lineman pulling this way to sell it. And you're going to ask your tight end to basically step up and take this away. Now, since the play action has a lot of room, you're hoping that he can, at least enough. But the problem is, he really can't. And this defensive lineman is just literally too big. I mean, he just walks right past him. And then on this side, you see the tackle. The tackles aren't bad, but the tackles struggle against speed rushers. They were dominated by speed rushers. When you get a fast linebacker in there, they're absolutely dominated. You can see he's just behind. Both these guys are behind. That's trouble. That's trouble. He throws it up. That could have been a pick. It ends up incomplete. I'm going to stop in here really quickly just to talk about the linebackers against the offensive linemen. That's always going to be an advantage to the defensive side of the ball. It's not like this is something specific to this Falcons team. We've seen it all year, but the way you get in those positions where you can have your linebackers going against the offensive line like that is by stopping the run on early downs. So you have to take away the run plays, which we'll check out. You have to take away the tosses. You have to limit those plays, and that's why I want to see the Lions be aggressive again. I expect them to look to blitz to take the run away early in this game. Like they did at Jacksonville, come out with that same approach and mentality to, hey, we're going to bring pressure to shut down this run first. Now, the Falcons are another heavy passing team, but it didn't keep the Lions away from wanting to take the run game away first. I expect the Lions to do the same thing. Play aggressive. Get up close to the line, right? Get the linebackers up close to the line. Get some secondary guys involved, especially Kearse, who I think is the breakout player for this game. Get those players up, and I expect them to play aggressive, because if they could take out that run, then all of a sudden, without blitzing, we can get the linebackers against the linemen where we're going to have advantage. If you can't, if they're running in a 2nd and 1, all of a sudden you can't do that because you have mismatches where, look, they're just going to be able to run right through them, right? Because then they're just going to go to power run plays, and your linebackers are not going to be able to beat an offensive lineman in a power run play. They beat them on stretches because that's more speed and athleticism, right? When it comes to power running plays, you're not going to beat them. But you can't get them in that situation if you can't stop the run on early down. So it all really does come back to stopping the run. That's what it's always going to come back to, and I wanted to touch on that quickly here just to kind of make sure we're clear on that. Now, this is an interesting play that we're going to have to keep an eye on because it didn't work here, but they had something interesting going. You have everybody backing up looking deep, and all of a sudden they have this. If this pass is completed and he doesn't get back there, you have a lot of room to make a big play. I mean, you got all this room to go make a big play, all right? So that's something we have to keep an eye on is when they go back. But again, it's about contain there. Dancer would have had to come up and make a tackle, so that's going to be interesting. Now you're going to get some inside handoffs. again, they're going to pull. They're going to do a lot of pulling. So here you're going to see your tight end. They love to get their tight ends involved in blocking, even though it doesn't seem like they're super great at it. But they're going to pull their tight end across the field. So he comes across, picks up that edge block, and you get an inside run. This is where having really good safeties helps, and this is where our safeties, can honestly learn something, I think, when it comes to film. Watch Harrison Smith on this play. So he does a great job. So he's looking here to contain. But he does a great job of recognizing that it's going inside, and he cuts back inside and takes away the running lane for the running back. So watch this play out. So he starts on the outside, boom. He sees to the inside. He's not worried about Matt Ryan's threat of rushing that well. And also it's important that this defensive end has this outside contain, allowing Harrison Smith to get back inside here, because if he doesn't, Matt Ryan potentially could run with this, but he's not super fast. That's what's good about not having a mobile quarterback to go against. But Harrison Smith does a great job recognizing that, gets back inside. He's like, oh, snap, there's nothing there, and he has to come back inside. Just forcing everything back to the big guys is what we want. With John Pennicini and Danny Shelton, we're going to be really good there. Here's another example of just, exploding the offensive line. Just linebackers going right by the offensive lineman. Again, look on this outside. You have the linebacker going by. You have the inside just exploding it. And again, there's two guys in his face. So when it comes to passing the football, the first guy, you always have to watch out for him is this man right here. It's Julio Jones. Now, he's going to just run a simple, what am I drawing here? He's going to run a corner route. Let's rewrite that. He's going to run a corner route, okay? It's pretty simple. He's running a corner route here. It's just man-to-man defense. That's all it is. Just gets a little separation and, gets a touchdown. Maybe there could have been a little something on that call, but there could have been a call there maybe. But what I really want to point out with passing is what his progressions look like to me, what I've seen from Matt Ryan and where he likes to go with the ball. Because I see a couple of progressions, all right? The first thing, he looks to the guy that's in motion. His first read most of the time is if there's a motion with the receiver, sometimes a tight end, that's his first read. Second read, over the middle. Third read, dump down if it's there. If you take those first two away, a lot of times you're going to come up with a big play. So what you see is this was actually the motion. This was the motion, man. He looks there first, right? Looks there, throws the out route. That's the first read that you see from Matt Ryan. And you're going to see that a lot. He looks to his motion a lot of times. They try to set these up to get someone open. Again, you see the tight end, he's in motion. All right? So watch this play. Starts there, right? Looking, doesn't see it. Then he comes back. Next read. Middle of the field. All right? What's important here is the linebackers in zone. So you have these two linebackers in zone. The Lions do the same thing with Jamie Collins, Ragland, Tavai. They drop in the zone. It's going to be super, super important for these linebackers to cover over the middle because it's motion, then it's middle, and then if nothing's there, eventually it comes down to this dump off, right? Doesn't see it, dumps it off. That's his progression list most of the time. Obviously, you don't know exactly what they're going to do before the play, but that's most of the time what his progression looks like. They do a good enough job to take away the middle where he doesn't see it, then he has to dump it down. If you take those two away, he's in trouble. This time he doesn't have that dump off option to his running back. So he looks to the outside first, to his first read. Then he tries to come back middle. It's taken away. All of a sudden, panics. He gets sacked, right? That's what his progressions look like to me from what I've seen consistently. That's usually what he goes to. And you see tons of examples of it. I mean, I'm showing you all the examples here. And here we go. This is just a short little pass underneath, kind of the middle of the field. But here they kind of just take everybody, they kind of just send everybody deep to kind of just, get the linebacker out of place. They want to get this linebacker out of the way so they can open this up for this underneath route. So it's a lot about the linebackers in this game. I'm expecting your linebackers to drop into a lot of zone, which, that teams seem to have success with. This is an interesting play because what they do here is to set up the inside read because they know how the defense is playing. So the defense drops into zone. So what they do is they put their tight end across middle. Then they're going to have the receiver come across, kind of like a double slant look. And because that the linebacker is occupied here and it leaves this wide open area. All about those guys. Hopefully you get better man-to-man coverage on the outside. That'll also help if you get better man-to-man coverage. But I think a man-zone blitz is going to be huge here. Man on the outside, zoning from your linebackers. Just cover the middle, okay? Keep your eye on these crossing routes. If you can take away the crossing routes, you're going to have success. Again, look where he's looking. No motion, okay? Where is he looking the whole time? He looks out there first to his tight end. Then he wants crossing routes, right? That's what his progression seemed to look like. Is he's looking over the middle second. Okay, middle is kind of his fallback option most of the time. So that's what I want to point out when it comes to passing. This one is a 3rd and long, so he's forced to go deep here, and they knock it away. They're able to make a play on the football. And if you force him into passing situations, then obviously you can get plays like that defensively.
Well, it looks like my face cut off here, so I'll show you this last play, and then we'll get out of here. Thank you, Pride, for watching, and I'm out.
Are you kidding me right now? I had to put my helmet on for this one. Are you kidding? Look at this. Look at all these members. What? Yo, hey, shout out to all the members, man. Look how many All-Pro members there are. Like, literally, it's the whole screen, dog. This is crazy. The patrons, Of course, the Hall of Fame members, man. Y'all got the gold color. It's kind of yellow, but it's supposed to be gold. Shout out to all the members, man. If you want to be a part of this, all you got to do is join the channel. But there are perks that come with it. Stay locked in the community tab if you are a member, because that's where a lot of information comes out. I appreciate all of you. What?